Close distance over 3 counts, engage at muscle level, and hold for 4 counts. This is the specific vernacular being used to describe a new methodology in theater. Let me say it again. Close distance over 3 counts, engage at muscle level, and hold for 4 counts. Now that you know the context, what would you believe that this is choreographing? A fight? A dance? Would you be surprised to hear that this is actually being used to choreograph a kiss? In today's day and age where sexual misconduct and individual comfortability has come to the forefront, the theater industry is taking the necessary steps to make sure that actors are comfortable and intimate scenes are taken seriously. This movement is called theatrical intimacy and is taking the theater world by storm. Now, when I was in high school, this idea didn't exist. And boy, I wish it did. Take a trip with me back to the olden days. I was a junior. We were doing a production of Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella. I played the prince, and a senior was playing Cinderella. When we got to the end of Act 1, where they kiss and she loses her shoe and runs off, and you know the rest, my director at the time said, "Okay, go to the back and figure it out." Now, for a junior year boy still going through puberty, the idea of going to the back with a girl and figuring it out did not calm my already ever-present anxieties. But we did what we had to do. We went to the back, we figured it out, came back, did the kiss, and my teacher said, "Well, gee, that was awkward." As you can imagine, figure it out differs a lot from close distance over 3 counts, engage at muscle level, hold for 4. We don't come across a punch in a stage fight and tell actors to go to the back and figure it out. So why do we do the same with intimacy? And that idea is what really opened my eyes, my mind, and my heart to this movement. You see, stage combat's taken very seriously. It's run before each fight. There's step-by-step processes, but intimacy is not the same. It's thrown to the side and swept under the rug. Until now. So buckle in as I walk you through this movement and why I think it's so cool, so important, and most importantly, what you, most likely a non-theater person, can learn from it. Theatrical intimacy consists of 3 main concepts at its core, each equally important and necessary as the last: consent, desexualization, and choreography. Concept number 1, consent. Now, I don't think there is a more talked about idea in today's day and age. It seems like a fairly simple rule to follow. If someone doesn't want to do something, don't do it. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. People ignore consent, create problems, and manufacture uncomfortable environments and situations for all parties involved. We worry about consent without even thinking about it. How many times have you heard the phrases, team player, easy to work with, collaborative? We want to be labeled these terms, but what are we sacrificing for these labels? In the theatrical world, everyone wants actors who are easy to work with. But what does that mean? Unfortunately, that boils down to actors who just say yes to everything. Actors who say no because they're uncomfortable are thrown to the side for the sake of the story. And that is unfair. Chelsea Pace is the co-founder of Theatrical Intimacy Education, and she says that there is no boundary that will get in the way of my ability to tell a story. And I believe that. We're artists, we're collaborative, and if we believe and care enough about a story, we will find a way to tell it in a way that's comfortable for everyone. See, that's what we're trying to show as intimacy artists. We're trying to make it okay to not be okay and provide ways to work around discomfort. Theatrical intimacy has a unique vocabulary that allows actors, directors, and artists to be on the same page. For consent, the most important term you need to know is button. Now that might seem weird. It's a small, simple word, but it holds a lot of power. When we think of power in the rehearsal room, we think of those on the other side of the table, the directors, the stage managers, the choreographers. As an actor, it's our job to do what they tell us to do. So when it comes to something that makes us uncomfortable, Saying no can be hard. It's an abrupt, aggressive word, and it can feel negative when being delivered. So this is where button comes into play. It's softer and implies a pause and an adjustment rather than a direct denial. By establishing button with your actors, you are establishing the ability to say no. And that's important. Let me walk you through this. I, as the director, am blocking a scene between two actors. I want one actor to touch the other actor's shoulder. Now, that actor doesn't like that. They don't want to deny my vision, so internally it's a tough battle. But this movement changes things. So I tell my actor, touch your scene partner's shoulder. And that scene partner calls button. And I pause and I say, what do you need? And they say, I'm just not comfortable with my shoulder being touched today. And I say, that's okay. We'll find a way that's more comfortable for everyone. I want you to imagine playing a game of Simon Says. You do what Simon tells you to do. That's the life of an actor. But what if Simon gave you the ability to say no? That's weird, right? In the simplest terms, you are breaking the rules of Simon Says. You're playing, I'm not comfortable with what Simon says, and that's okay. You see, this is how it feels to say no to our director. We're saying no to Simon. It's groundbreaking. It goes against everything we know, but that is what we are trying to change. Creating a consent-based rehearsal room, giving power to the actors, and normalizing no. So when they say yes, they mean it. Concept number 2, desexualization. Now, I don't know much about your personal lives, but I'm sure that desexualization is not something that you would correlate to your intimate moments. And if it is, sorry. But desexualization is incredibly important to theatrical intimacy. Staging sex shouldn't be sexy, just like staging violence shouldn't be scary. I mean, this is a fundamental principle of theater. It is what it's not. Smoke and mirrors, illusion, suspension of disbelief, yet desexualizing sex seems counterintuitive, no? Don't we as artists want to convey the feelings of sex? To that I say yes, through our characters, not through our actors. You see, that is an important part of theatrical intimacy, the separation. It's where process comes into play. Process allows us to separate the action from the actors. It allows the actors to see these moments as step-by-step choreo instead of just passionate sex scenes. So in order to create process, we use the next term I'm going to introduce you to. Ingredients. Ingredients are how we desexualize the direction of these scenes. It gives us an exact rubric of what to look forward to when we're directing. There are 10 ingredients: opening and closing distance, levels of touch, tempo and counts, shapes, destinations, eye contact, visible power shifts, breath and sound, gravity and weight, and kissing. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these, but it's important to know for the idea of theatrical intimacy. You see, by using these, we can ask for a passionate makeout session without asking for a passionate makeout session. Communication and language choice is key. Using sexualized language can muddy the waters, create discomfort, and you can lose your control of the consensual environment you have tried so hard to create. Concept number 3, choreography. Choreography is the key to this all. It guarantees that each and every time your intimate moment will be the exact same. In order to create choreography, we use our ingredients from earlier. Without choreography, we create an uncontrollable and dangerous gray area. Allow me to paint a picture for you. It's the end of Act 2, and you're getting ready to block some big romantic scene, and you tell your actors to kiss passionately. And they do. It's great. You come back tomorrow, and you say, do it again, and it sucks. You say, what happened? Do what you did yesterday. They say, we don't know what we did yesterday, so we can't do what we did yesterday. See what I'm trying to say? There's no way to record what you've done. But using our ingredients from earlier, we can create an exact recipe for a passionate kiss each and every time, and record it and tell the exact story we want to tell. Choreography is the final factor. It ties everything together. Which brings me back to close distance over 3 counts, engage at muscle level, and hold for 4 counts. You just listened to me talk about this for the past 10 minutes, but if you're not an actor, a director, an artist, why should you care? It's a valid question. They asked me the same thing when I even made my pitch to speak at Panorama, and my answer is this. At its foundation, this movement is about treating people with respect. It's a movement that's philosophy should bleed into the real world. Let's close distance between our ability to say no. Instead of caving into the pressures, call button. Take a second and ask yourself, what do you need? Let's engage with the ingredients of our lives. Instead of complaining about our problems, identify what we can fix and create the recipe that allows you to tell the exact story of your life that you want to tell. And lastly, but most importantly, hold yourself accountable and obey the law of consent. Are we speaking appropriately? Are we respecting each other's boundaries? You see, these are not just the foundations of theatrical intimacy, but should be the foundation of our entire lives. So close your distance, engage with your ingredients, and hold yourself accountable for not just 4 counts, but for the rest of your life. Thank you.